Hello and welcome to this first of what will surely be many podcasts where we cover a motorsport topic in just 15 minutes. For this first edition, we're looking at the W Series finale, which will take place at Brands Hatch this weekend, the 10th and 11th of August. At the top of the championship standings are British driver Jamie Chadwick and from the Netherlands, Beitske Visser. The final two standing in the championship battle. It will take a lot for Beitske to overturn the 13-point deficit, but this is motorsport and stranger things have happened. Further down the order, the battle for an automatic entry spot for 2020 is hotting up. To qualify, the drivers must finish inside the top 12 championship places. Now, joining me today to talk about all this is Downforce Radio's W Series editor, Emma Butterworth. Hello, Emma.
Hello.
So if we start with the championship battle between Jamie and Beitske, Jamie's had a few wins to her name. She's had 2 wins and she's never been off the podium. Beitske started with a 4th. She finished 4th at her home race in Assen, but a strong middle part of the championships put her right in the race.
Yeah, it really has. At the start of the season, in Hockenheim, it just seemed that Jamie Chadwick was the outright favourite to win the championship. But Beitske has really, really come through the rankings over the last few races, and despite the fact that they've got 2 completely different driving styles, they're really, really close. And I think Jamie needs to finish 4th and Beitske win it for Beitske to take the championship.
Yeah, it will take a lot for like a freak result for Jamie, really. But this kind of thing can happen, and Brands Hatch is such a strange track compared to what they've been to. They've been to a lot of flat tracks and not really had the whole undulation that you get at Brands Hatch. How do you think those 2 drivers will cope with that? Jamie having won an F3 race there previously.
I think they'll cope very, very well. As you said, Jamie has previously won at Brands Hatch, knows the track inside out. However, Brands Hatch is a real test for the racecraft of all the drivers. It's really narrow, it's got some really high-speed corners, and there's some greenery all around the circuit. So the smallest of mistakes will be severely punished. So they've really got to focus on the circuit, but it will be a really fantastic race to watch around this circuit.
We've got Alice Powell up there as well. She obviously got 2nd place in the last race and in the reverse grid somehow managed to overtake so many people to finish 2nd and nearly overtake Megan Gilks again. How do you think the other British drivers will get along? Alice, obviously, lots of experience there. Sarah Moore, Jess Hawkins, Esme Hawkey. They've all got so much experience. Do you expect to see them up the top order, maybe interfering with that championship battle?
I definitely do. I think there'll be some upsets in the midfield with the British drivers because, as you said, like they will know the circuit so well. Some of the drivers in the midfield haven't actually raced at Brands Hatch. You've got Miki Koyama, who is the Japanese driver. She's never raced in Europe. So this is going to be a massive test for her. But I think the midfield, I think we're going to see a lot of changes in positions at the end of the standings.
So before we get on to the main topic, really, which is going to be the battle for the top 12, give me your prediction. Who do you think will come out on top? Do you think Beitske has much of a chance to be able to overturn that deficit? It is a large deficit, as we say.
Yeah, it is a large deficit. I still think it's going to be Jamie Chadwick that's going to come out on top. She's been my favourite from the very beginning. I think she's got more experience around this circuit. And I just think that she's got the edge over Beitske.
Do you think she would play it cool? And if Beitske's on her tail and they're battling for that podium spot, do you think Jamie might go, you stand on the podium. If I finish right behind you, I've got this title myself?
Definitely not. I mean, I think they are both really good friends. I think this whole series is brought the girls all closer together, but they are still fierce rivals at the end of the day. And I think her main focus will be to be winning that championship title. So I think that it doesn't matter if she's in that battle with Beitske. I think the both of them will be gunning it to get that win.
So going on to, like I say, the main topic of what we're going to be talking about, the battle for the top 12 and the automatic entry into next year's championship. How do you see this going? At the moment, Emma Kymäläinen is just safe of falling out of the top 12, and she's sixth, having missed a couple of rounds and after her crash with Miki Koyama in Hockenheim in the first race. So she's just safe. But then we've got below that, we've got Koyama, Sarah Moore, Tasmin Pepper, Vicky Piria. Anyone can get into the top 12, even the drivers with no points on the board so far, Shea Holbrook, Sarah Bovey and Megan Gilks. How fascinating is this going to be this weekend?
This is the battle that I want to see. I mean, forget Formula One in the midfield. This is the battle that I want to see this year. I mean, you've literally got a point between Sarah Moore and Tasmin Pepper. There's 7 points then above Sarah Moore to Miki Koyama. It could go any way whatsoever. You know, all drivers have got different levels of experience. Some of them have raced at brands, some of them haven't. But these battles, you know, it's not just for position, it's for cash prize as well. So that, you know, it doesn't matter where you finish in the order. Cash prize is slightly different. So there'll be some really close fights in the midfield, which will be really exciting for everyone to see.
And we've already said we think the British girls with obviously the more experience at the track, we think that they're going to do well. Outside the top 12 currently, we've got Jess Hawkins and Esme Hawkey. Jess, who scored her first points of the year with 7th place at Assen. So she's coming in on a bit of a high. She's at a disadvantage, starting with only 6 points. And at the moment, the cutting point is 10. The drivers that are outside, they're no pushovers, are they?
No, they're definitely not. And they'll have the same attitude going into the race as everyone else. They'll be fighting for position and they'll be trying to scrape as many points as possible. So it really, really is all to play for, even for the drivers outside of the top 12. There's so much at stake. An automatic qualifying position for next year is definitely something that they'll be wanting to win.
So looking at the table, as it stands currently, who do you think that's currently inside the top 12 is in a little bit more danger than they would like? They're not feeling as comfortable as they'd want.
I would probably say Caitlin Wood. She's been a bit unlucky the past few races. Not really you know, finishing where she needs to be or deserves to be for that matter. I think with her currently being in 11th place on 11 points, and she's got Gossia Rodest and Saber Cook on 10 points, and in 12th and 13th just behind her. You know, those two drivers will be making sure that, you know, that they finish in front of her in the race to ensure a place. But yeah, I think even Vicky Perry, I mean, she's on 16 points, but she's 5 in front of Caitlin Woods, but I think she's in a bit of danger as well.
Well, all it takes is for Jess Hawkins to be sort of top 5, top 6, which during practice sessions she's proven she can do. She's been up in the top 3 regularly. All it takes is for her to hook it up on a track that she knows. And like you say, we've got Garcia, Caitlin, Vicky, all who could drop out. My pick, actually, based on the reverse grid at Assen, is Saber Cook. I think she could surprise a lot of people. And after the race, she was in really boisterous mood, saying, "I'm going to be in that top 12. I'm not missing out." She's not really delivered that much in the season so far, but she's got 2 good results in Misano and the Norris Ring, where she finished 8th and 7th. So she could do this. It's hard. It's really hard to call this. Like you say, F1's so easy to predict normally. Most recent races being an exception. But this is just so open, isn't it? This is what we want.
I think it's partly to do with the fact that a few of the drivers haven't raced at these circuits before. This is really new to them, and the practice sessions for them are a massive learning curve. So each circuit is so different. When you see the results through practice, through qualifying, and then the race results, you know, the top 3, the top 4 even have roughly been the same throughout. But it's the midfield that's the most exciting part at the moment, I think.
And I've got to give a shout out to sort of the driver who's probably much. I would view her as the driver who could have been the champion. Emma Kymäläinen, obviously, we've already mentioned her. She had her crash with Miki Koyama at Hockenheim on lap 1. The resulting injury put her out for 2 races. She missed Zolder and Misano. She came back, was in the fight for the win at the Norris Ring, and then at Assen, she became the first driver in the sport to hit fastest lap, qualifying pole, and win the race. How impressive is she? How much of a factor could she be in this come Sunday?
It'll be a massive factor, I think. She has been so unlucky. If you think if she hadn't had that accident and she hadn't been ruled out of a few races, where could she have ended up? I mean, she could have literally been within the top 3 and a real contender for the championship. To be honest, before the drivers for W Series was announced, I didn't know much about Emma Kymäläinen. But she's really impressed me throughout the races that she has been in. She's got some real raw pace and some really good racecraft, and she shows absolute sheer determination on that race circuit.
And she's
So
actually
it's
got a good record at Brands Hatch as well, because I was speaking to her at Assen, oddly, on the anniversary of the day that Henry Surtees had his tragic accident at Brands Hatch. And she told me, without knowing what day it was, that she actually was racing at Brands Hatch on that day and scored her first ever single-seater podium on that day. And it was just really spooky that came up in talking on the anniversary. So she's got form at this track as well.
Yeah, she does. Winning at Brands Hatch is something pretty special. So every driver will be hoping to get at least onto the podium. But I think Emma Kymäläinen's got actually a really good chance of being on the podium this weekend.
The drivers for me as well that could spring a surprise if we were to go for a stranger result, say Beitsker and Jamie, heaven forbid, take each other out at Paddock Hill. It's all done their Senna and Prost style.
I was just going to say that, Senna and Prost.
It's Brands Hatch into Paddock Hill. 2 do not go into 1. It happens. A driver I'd like to see do well, who deserves a result and has been knocking on that door, is Sarah Moore. Have you been impressed with how she's done this year?
Really impressed. Sarah has shown a lot of consistency in the car. Sometimes she's been quite unlucky, but with a lot of the drivers, she has shown some impressive. She's shown us some impressive overtakes this season. She's been involved in some really good battles that have been great to watch as well. I just think sometimes she's had a bit of unreliability with the car. I know that they change cars, every race, but she has had a little bit of unreliability. But she's shown absolute consistency, and if she's in the top 12, which I think that she will be, I think she's going to be a great contender for the championship next season.
And the final driver we'll give a mention to, because we've got just under 2 minutes left, is a driver who's been on the podium every time they've finished, but through a series of bad luck and reliability issues at the Norris Ring and a spectacular flying accident at Misano, sadly isn't in the championship battle. When she's finished races, she's been second, third, and then second at Assen. Alice Powell, she's been knocking on that door. How good would it be if she could get that win and get that monkey off her back at Brands Hatch?
I think she would be super pleased with that. I mean, like the last race of the season to be on the podium, a Brit driver, someone of her talent and someone with her, with her luck this season, shall we say. I think it would be icing on the cake for her, to be honest. She's been so close. She's been right in there in the battles. And it would just be great. In fact, I would love to see an all Brit podium. That would be amazing.
As you say, that would be totally amazing if we had Jamie, Jess, Esme, Sarah, or Alice, any order of those on the podium. Thanks for joining me, Emma. It's been good having you. And we will look forward to bring you all the action from the weekend from Brands Hatch. Emma and myself will be there along with several other people from the Downforce Radio group. Jamie Chadwick in pole position for the championship title. Beitsker Visser, the only driver who can get in her way other than herself. So yeah, we will look forward to bringing you all that across the weekend. Thank you for listening and goodbye.